One of the best kept secrets of real estate investing is a 1031 exchange, and I'll walk you through how to take advantage of it in the net lease investment space. I'm Kyle Gulock, one of the founders of Century Partners. I've been involved in over $1 billion worth of transactions involving the 1031 exchange in the net lease space. First of all, what is a 1031 exchange? 1031 exchange is part of the tax code that allows you to shelter capital gains taxes following the sale of a piece of real estate. So when you sell a piece of real estate, you have 45 days to identify the properties, up to 3 properties that you would potentially purchase, what they call exchange into. Following the sale of your, what they call the downleg property, you would have 6 months, 180 days to close on the properties that you're 1031 exchanging into. Then after you close, you would not have to pay the capital gains taxes associated with the sale of your downleg property. The first thing you want to do is have a plan before you sell your downleg property, the property that you're relinquishing. And that plan would be understanding exactly what the home for the money is going to be. So you're going to want to partner with somebody that has access to 1031 exchange properties, which we do at Century Partners. We have relationships all across the country involving new product build-to-suit developers, private owners, operator clients that would have sale-leaseback opportunities. And then when you partner with us, what we would do is be able to create a game plan where we look at your current cash flow, if you have any depreciation left, if you have a loan on the property, and really just get an understanding of what your situation looks like now, and then what your situation would look like following the successful 1031 exchange. And we'd be able to create that roadmap, or we like to call the playbook, and help you execute. A past client that we've worked with sold an industrial building in the Seattle, Washington area. It was approximately a $15 million sale. They took the proceeds and they exchanged it into 4 smaller properties in 4 separate states across the country with varying return metrics based on their risk tolerance. We were able to come up with this playbook of exactly what they're looking for, corner pieces of real estate, growing markets. They wanted blue chip credit tenants, which we were able to find them at all the sites. And we were able to increase their cash flow by about 30%. The most common question that we receive from prospective 1031 exchange clients is just about the timing of the process, and then making sure that we have a playbook established and then we can go out and execute on that plan. A key tidbit that I often like to point out is on the property that you would purchase for that 1031 exchange, you either need to take a like amount of debt out, so new debt, or you need to provide that amount in cash. So how we help our clients do that is just by preparing and understanding the rules associated with the 1031 exchange, the timing associated with it, the key nuances of making sure that you can execute accordingly. The biggest thing that you got to look out for as a 1031 exchange investor is who is the tenant and where is their rent in relation to market. Because sometimes you'll buy a brand new shiny building, brand new construction, a tenant's in there, sign a 20-year lease, and you expect them to stay there for that 20, that agreed upon term. The tenant vacates because they're not hitting their sales metrics, and then you're left with a vacant building, most cases halfway across the country, and you're stuck trying to find a new tenant. You have the loss of rent, the downtime associated with replacing that tenant, and it's just a disaster. One key thing that I'd really look out for is understanding the value of the underlying real estate and making sure it's quality. Buy the real estate, don't buy the tenant. And then you want to make sure that the tenant is paying a market rent. So I'd always conduct a market rent survey when you're making a 1031 exchange acquisition, because worst case scenario, if the tenant were ever to vacate, you want to make sure that you can backfill the property with a tenant that is going to pay at least the same amount of rent that the tenant you're acquiring is. Another key component of the 1031 exchange is the due diligence. And you're going to want to hire, or we always recommend that you hire a real estate counsel to help conduct along with us, a thorough review of the lease agreements, phase one survey, and just make sure that you're adequately completing this due diligence process, understanding what obligations that you have as the landlord outlined in the lease agreement versus what the tenant has outlined in the lease agreement, and making sure you take this step during the process can really put you in a great spot to be in a long-term success following the acquisition. The reason I'm so passionate about the 1031 exchange is just making sure people don't squander their wealth. It takes a long time to build wealth, but making one bad decision and it can cost you millions of dollars. Being in the industry, knowing transactions that take place, understanding the comps, understanding the market, you often develop fleeting relationships where you hear about somebody in a 1031 exchange. A few months later, you go into the comps, you see a property that they purchased, and you think, wow, that's completely different than the objectives that you told me you had and wanted to accomplish in this process. And I know that you've made a mistake. So what we want to do is come up with that proper playbook for you, show you why it makes sense for the objectives that you've told us, and deliver on them. So if you're selling a property in the near future, let's set time when we can talk, review your 1031 exchange investment goals together, and we can come up with a playbook that we can execute on.